So the second game is going to start. Well, it seems that today is going to be a mirror match day. Well, fear not, at least it's a Terran versus Terran, which usually it's going more interesting when it's played by good players. Let me put down the music. We have RAGEKalin spawning as the yellow Terran on the left side, and let's call it on the downside we have RideamuS spawning as the green Terran. The map is Metalopolis again, and this time players spawned as close air positions, so we might actually see some bailing play. Actually, I have to disagree with Johnny X from the chat, because let me argument my saying why do I think TVT is actually the most interesting matchup, mirror matchup, of course. Why I say that is that when you have two Terran players that are good, you're always going to have action, drops and stuff like that. When it's also pretty nice to see that fight for positioning, but with the ZVZ, it's pretty entertaining when you see bailing fight, because it's also always entertaining and always high action, constant action with the bailings and stuff like that. But when ZVZ is going to go for roaches, it's going to be pretty boring, mainly because they just stay with the roaches in base, getting +1 attack for the roaches and stuff like that. I've casted some ZVZs like 3 weeks ago, the manga, and another day, and I think I also casted Moman with some other Zerg. I think it was Magolina with another day, I'm not really sure, and it was very slow. Now about PvP, it is pretty boring, but a lot of times it's pretty, I mean, you always see the same thing, the 4-gate, and sometimes you see the rush to Colossus, and occasionally someone is trying to surprise their opponent with a Dark Templar, but again, it's the same matchup, and I think it's pretty boring. Now, another reason why I think that Terran versus Terran is pretty entertaining is because Terran has a lot of openings. He can go Banshee, he can go Hellion, he can go, of course, right now the meta games on Terran versus Terran is means Marine, tanks and Vikings. You use the Vikings as air control in order for your tanks to have a higher vision. You use the tanks, of course, to siege control, and the Marines for DPS. And it's pretty fucked up, especially if you are the Terran player who's not having good positioning, because you actually can't do anything about it. You can just retreat. And usually players, in order to break down the siege, they usually go drops. So this is why it's pretty entertaining sometimes. Now, as you can see, it's a mirror build right now. We have a factory for both players. I didn't have time to check RideamuS profile, but he's from Russia from what I see. RAGEKalin is from Bulgaria, if I'm right. Let me actually do a small refresh. Yep, RAGEKalin is from Bulgaria. Now again, this is round 2 of CraftCup Lite number 37. And for people who don't know, usually the tournament starts pretty slowly with sometimes we have some minutes of breaks before I can actually find a good game, and also it might be a bit slow until the good players remain in the tournament, so we have the most interesting matches. So just stay around, and I'm actually pretty entertained. I'm pretty happy about this tournament, because Maza Icek is playing this tournament, BCQT is playing this tournament. Unfortunately, Saplo forgot to check in, but we have other good players. I think Magolina checked in, so it's going to be pretty nice. Again, back to the game, we actually see the first variation in the build. We have RideamuS researching Infernal Pre-Igniter, so he's going to go for a blue Hellion drop, while the RAGEKalin is going to go for a Banshee. So again, even that this is a mirror matchup, we are not going to see a mirror game. Now let's check the APM of the pair for people who are curious about it. I'm not actually that curious, especially early in game. We see that RideamuS is spamming like crazy, while Kalin is not. Back to the SCVs count. Seems that Kalin is doing a good job producing SCVs constantly. On minute 7 he's supposed to have 27 harvesters, and he is having that number. Of course, it's not actually a rule or anything like that, but I did a small test and I noticed that if you have 27, it means you always produced, and of course you didn't lost SCVs in time. We see that the Banshee did some small damage. He's not researching Cloak, unfortunately, and don't worry, I didn't forget about this drop. Let's see what is he going to do. The Hellions are down and they are doing an incredible amount of damage right now. Let's see, from 28, let's count, let's say he had 28 drones. He's now having 19, so he lost around 8 SCVs, while at the same time RideamuS also lost a small number. We also see that the Raven got picked up by the Viking, so I think very soon the game is going to go for that classic mirror match. Usually the opening for the Terran, for the TVT is different, but at the end both players are going to go for Siege Tank, Marines and Vikings. We already see that if we check the army composition, we see that both players already have Vikings out. RideamuS is having a Siege Tank out, and I'm guessing, well, Kalin is not actually building a Siege Tank soon, so he might actually go for that BO ball, which is actually pretty popular. With that BO ball you can actually abuse the fact that the Terran that's going to go for tanks has immobility, so you can actually drop him constantly, and this is actually a pretty good spot, a spawning position for stuff like this. Now let's check it out, this push. Kalin has a nice number of Marines, he has steam, combat shield is at about 30%, he's also building a command center. RideamuS is also doing this, but he has that tank that might actually protect him, and he also has these 2 bunkers, so he will be pretty safe. Also, I did notice that this Medivac is transporting 1 Hellion, so it might actually go down, but oh, the Medivac got intercepted, but still the Hellion is inside the base. Let's see how many. I see 1 SCV, 2 SCVs down, and the Viking got picked up. I think also the Marine died, I'm not really sure about it, but let's check it out. Nice job by Kalin by poking out in. The tank got down, but oh, the tank actually didn't go down. The tank survived with 8 hit points, while Kalin actually lost his whole army. If we check right now, RideamuS is at 46 food, while Kalin is at 35, so bad stuff. Let's check out the SCVs count. It seems that RideamuS is ahead because he's having a better position right now, and he has a better SCV count. Kalin is just building a tech lab on his own factory. He's producing Medivacs, so I shouldn't actually guess that much, but he's not going to go for... His building composition is not that optimal for that tank Vikings. He might actually swap the starport with the barracks in order to build more Vikings, but he's doing another drop and he's going to go directly into those missile turrets. So 1 hit, 2, 3, 4, and he's dropping right now, but a lot of Marines, 5 Marines actually got picked up, and these Marines are going to die soon. At least they are going to kill a missile turret, so they did something. and bam. Poor Marine, he was the last one there. There we have Steam Pack researching for RideamuS. He was the player that went for the classic opening. Let's check down his building composition. I see a starport over here, no add-on on the starport yet. We have a barrack with a reactor, one with tech lab. He already has +1 upgrades, and there we have another drop by Kalin, so it's pretty nice that he's constantly doing that. At least he's killing the supply depot that's actually kill it, okay. It didn't supply blocked. Oh, the tank is already shooting. This is always something that a Terran versus a Terran must do. Just keep one tank in your base. It's going to do an awesome job versus drops. Oh, one Marine got left behind, and he's not looking pretty. Kalin doing a nice job expanding again at minute 14, and I'm judging by the supply, RideamuS might actually go for expansion again. Now I was checking RideamuS buildings, no add-ons on these barracks yet. His Steam Pack is not yet done, and Kalin is pushing out again. So as you can see, at least he's moving with the army. But as you can see, good Terran players don't actually turtle that much, so you always see action from them. We saw drops, we saw tanks and Marines moving around. I think these supplies are here for drop spotting, and Kalin will see probably those supplies, but RideamuS will also see this army. The thing is that RideamuS is pushing right now. I heard the Steam Pack. Yeah, this Marine is actually Steam in order to scout. And is the Banshee going to get picked up? Oh, I think so, because he don't have cloak, and the Viking is actually hitting it. So right now Kalin is going to... Actually no, the Viking survives. the Banshee survives. And there we have a drop inside Kalin's base, while at the same time he's also attacking this expansion. It's going to be pretty nice. This tank is not in siege mode right now. Let's see the reaction of RideamuS, and yep, he's steaming up, but he did a lot of damage. But at the same time, in Kalin's base, he picked up some buildings, and he's not looking pretty good for Kalin. He has some tanks over here. He needs to siege them up in order to do some better splash damage, but yeah, he's still doing a good job. So I'm not sure who actually won this. Seems that RideamuS left his tanks over here, and I think this is the time to check down the SCVs count. We see that Kalin is still ahead with 40 SCVs. Also, RideamuS doing a nice job harassing this base also. At the same time, RideamuS is having 31 SCVs, so I'm not actually sure who did the best of these attacks. Both players managed their attacks pretty good, and they minimized their losses. And this is actually a pretty hardcore spot. If you are playing versus a Terran and he's sieging up near the Sernaga tower, it's fucked up. The reason for that is that with that Sernaga tower, the tank has full vision. You don't need air in order to spot something, and with this small choke it's hard to engage with bailings, roaches and stuff like that. But Kalin doing a nice job avoiding the whole army around here, and he's going to go directly into RideamuS base. But at the same time, RideamuS is going inside Kalin's base. He's picking out the add-ons because they are the easiest to fall down. And what is Kalin doing? He's just sitting around. Let's check down the APM of the player. It seems that RideamuS is having a better APM, so he might actually manage this better. The tanks are doing an insanely high job. Let's check it down on what Kalin's tanks are doing. We also have a pack of Marines over here killing down SCVs. So action is happening all over the place. We have 2 Marines over here. No attack on this third base of Kalin. Lonely meat around. And now the tanks are inside Kalin's base, and this is pretty fucked up for him, because those Marines are going to get picked up by the tanks. It's nice that Kalin has siege and Steam Pack, sorry, So the tanks of RideamuS got picked up. And seems that Kalin, after all, is still managing stuff better. If we check the SCV count, Kalin is still ahead with 45. This is like, what the fuck? And RideamuS is still at 36. So it seems that the players are only trading down armies and add-ons from the barracks. A good thing that Kalin did was, oh, the Marines are at least he did a very nice split. What Kalin did, and it was pretty nice, it stopped the command center of RideamuS, and of course Kalin is mining for a lot of time from this base. And by the way, we have a drop over here. He was forced to push down SCVs, and now we have another fight over here with we have a scan for RideamuS. Finally reacting in time, taking down the drop. Oh. And now Kalin is going to drop inside the RideamuS base. And I actually have to ask, I need to ask Johnny X from the chat, what does he think about this Terran versus Terran game. And by the way, Night End is going to laugh if he's listening to the stream right now. I'm not allowed to use the word, by the way. But there we have a steam by RAGEKalin, taking down more SCVs. And what Kalin is doing right now, he's also rallying up a lot of army over here. He's producing 6 Marines right now and 1 tank, so he will constantly have the army. Downside for this is that RideamuS is not actually having the income to support those buildings. See, by the way, it is I use the word by the way again. This tank is doing an awesome job. It forced Kalin to, oh, the medivac is now with 7 hit points. two Marines sacrificing themselves. Is there any action on the field right now? I don't see any drops. This base is oversaturated. Maybe Kalin he's also building supply depots, of course. Kalin said that he's also arguing with his girlfriend on Skype, so he's doing an even better job right now. We have a planetary fortress on here, there. This is so funny. This base is also going to get down, and RideamuS is not looking good for RideamuS. Kalin retreating in time with his army because those tanks siege up. And he's doing an awesome job stopping RideamuS for taking his third expansion. He can't even take his fourth right now. He's only mining with 1 SCV. This base is probably going to fall down real soon when those tanks are going to move out over here. But RideamuS reacting in time. He's trying to secure this planetary fortress, and he's doing that. He might want to place 1 SCV over here in time. He's moving down 2 SCVs over here. A lot of tanks sieging up in range with the planetary fortress. Planetary fortress taking a lot of hits right now, and he will need to repair this. I don't see any counterattack on the minimap, so I'm not sure how RideamuS is going to manage to get out from this attack. We see some, oh, this drop is going to get intercepted. This is dropping down onto the tanks, but this wasn't a good idea. Kalin also at the same time is taking his fourth base. He's upgrading into an orbital command, and even the gold is upgraded into an orbital command. So I've seen this by a lot of good players. They don't actually they don't actually do planetary fortress, because of course the orbital command is more useful. You have that mule, you have that scan, so this is why it's pretty useful. And a lot of minerals from RideamuS are going into this planetary fortress. For people who don't know, it's actually costing you money in order to repair something. Kalin also doing a drop at the same time. So these are the horrors of Terran versus Terran. Constant siege up pressure. It's how I like to say it is like on medieval times when people were attacking and sieging up the castles. You were stuck inside your castle while they were shooting with their catapults over. Of course, the catapults are replaced by the siege tanks in this game, and RideamuS is still doing a nice job with putting pressure. He almost took down this expansion, but he seems to that he now moved up on this place and he's now losing down his tanks. Kalin managed to take down the fort base of RideamuS, and I'm not sure what RideamuS is going to be able to do right now. He's even supply blocked, and Kalin is finally pushing out. The tanks are positioning themselves. Kalin taking down the first shot. Oh, and a lot of marines are melting away to these 3 tanks. By the way, I shouldn't say that. No upgrades for the players. Only 1-1 for Kalin and 1-1 for RideamuS, but no upgrades for the tanks. And now Kalin is sieging up again on this command center. And there's the GG. Nice job by Kalin. Constant pressure, constant drops. I really liked RideamuS too, actually. Let me check his profile. Let me check RideamuS profile. He's in Master League and he has 3000 points, so he was a decent player. I don't actually judge him in the bad way. He did a nice job. Now let me actually